Pemerintah membuka opsi pembayaran hutang dan pembiayaan utang serta pembiayaan operasional kereta cepat Jakarta-Bandung-Wush dengan menggunakan anggaran pendapatan dan belanja negara atau APBN.
Namun alokasi penggunaan APBN tersebut masih dirumuskan.
Kendati belum dipastikan, opsi membayar cicilan utang kereta cepat dengan APBN cukup mengejutkan. Sebab sejak awal Menteri Keuangan Purbaya Yudi Sadeo meyakini Badan Pengelola Investasi Danantara mampu menanggung cicilan utang kereta cepat sebesar 2 triliun rupiah.
Presiden ke-7 RI Joko Widodo akhirnya buka suara terkait polemik kereta cepat Wush.
Kereta cepat Jakarta-Bandung ini merupakan kereta cepat pertama di Indonesia dan juga pertama di Asia Tenggara dengan kecepatan 350 km per jam. Dan kereta cepat ini kita namakan Wush.
So, what is Wush? Wush is a high-speed train project set as a joint operation between Indonesia and China, as a way of transit between two major cities in Indonesia, which is Jakarta and Bandung. Now, why is it controversial? First, there are already multiple ways of transportation between Jakarta and Bandung. This includes cars, airplanes, and even the regular trains. The only benefit we get from Wush is a faster transit time, taking from the 2.5 hours of regular train to only taking half an hour of transit time using Wush. Second, high cost, low benefits. The initial cost for this project started out at 84 trillion rupees, but somehow has skyrocketed to 118 trillion. That is an outrageous cost for such a minimal benefits that it provides. On top of that, the ticket for Wush itself is priced at a higher cost than the regular trains, doubling and almost tripling of the regular ticket cost for a regular train. If this project proves to be so unnecessary for the people of Indonesia, why would the government initiate such project?
Proyek kereta cepat Jakarta-Bandung kini menjadi sorotan. Pasalnya, Presiden Jokowi mengubah kebijakannya dengan memberi izin bahwa proyek ini bisa ditambal dengan dana dari APBN. Hal ini berbeda dengan janji awal Jokowi yang menyebut bahwa dirinya tak akan menggunakan uang rakyat sepeser pun untuk membiayai proyek kerjasama dengan Cina tersebut.
Mantan Menteri Perhubungan Ignatius Jonan beberapa kali mengungkapkan keberatannya soal proyek kereta cepat Jakarta-Bandung. Pada 2015, Jonan menegaskan tidak perlu ada moda transportasi kereta cepat untuk rute Jakarta-Bandung. Menurutnya, kereta dengan kecepatan di atas 300 km per jam itu tidak cocok untuk rute pendek Jakarta-Bandung yang berkisar 150 km.
Sometimes a country direction is decided by those in power rather than what the people need. This is how the story of the Wush high-speed rail started, driven by a wish to make Indonesia a leader in high-speed rail in Southeast Asia. In 2015, Indonesia was in the middle of bidding competition. Two big players come forward with a different plan. Japan offered its famous Shinkansen technology, which is well tested and reliable. They proposed a very low interest rate of 0.1%, but they needed a guarantee from government. China, on the other hand, offered a more flexible option. Their interest rate was higher at 3.4%, but they suggest a business-to-business deal, aka B2B, that didn't need government funds. This seemed like an easier way to gain prestige and move quickly into the future. In the end, Indonesia chose some. However, this decision faced warnings. Some inside the government, including the former Minister of Transportation Pak Jonan, were against the project due to the high cost and unrealistic passengers number, expecting 50 to 60,000 daily when the real number was around 16 to 22,000. But these warnings were ignored. Why? Because for some, this project was more than just a trend, it was a symbol. The main decision maker even said, "This was my idea," which led to doubts that the project wasn't based on public need or economy change, but on political prestige.
Selanjutnya top topik ketiga. Komisi Pemberantasan Korupsi atau KPK menegaskan akan berhati-hati menangani dugaan rasuah dalam proyek kereta cepat Indonesia-China atau KCIC atau WUS. Penyidikan kasus WUS bisa dilakukan apabila KPK memiliki bukti kuat dan menemukan unsur pidana.
The core polemic of the WUS project centers on the allegation of massive financial loss to the Indonesian state. Resulting from the mismanagement and strong suspicion of the corruption, the project is considered fiscally irresponsible because it imposed a significant debt burden on the transport Jakarta to Bandung. That's already adequate alternative nullifying the project practical value. The most compelling evidence fueling the suspicion of a markup is the project cost efficiency. Legal analysts found the expense per kilometer $52 million to be nearly 3 times higher than the benchmark cost $17 to $18 million used by China for similar high-speed rails project. The search for accountability focuses squarely on the initiator and principal decision maker, affirming the critical legal principle that a president for former president is not exempt from legal action if there is clear evidence of a massive abuse of authority or substantial financial harm to the nation interest.
Sudah saya sampaikan kenapa, karena kan Danantara terima dividen dari BUMN kan hampir 90 triliun, 80 triliun, 90 triliun lah. Itu cukup untuk nutup yang 2 triliun bayaran tahunan untuk kereta api cepat. Tapi yang jelas saya tanya ke beliau tadi, apakah di klausulnya ada yang bayar harus pemerintah? Kan yang penting, kalau saya tahu CDB, saya pernah diskusi nego sama CDB juga dulu, mereka yang penting struktur pembayarannya clear. Jadi harusnya nggak ada masalah kalau dalam antara bayar juga.
Bukan kali ini
The ongoing debt crisis has triggered a serious default threat, as it remains unclear who will cover massive annual payments, with the Finance Ministry Purbaya refusing to use the state budget for this purpose. A deadlock has emerged as responsibility for the growing debt is pushed back and forth between the APBN and the BUMN consortium, leading to a proposal for the BUMN holding company Danantara to shoulder the burden using its dividend income through a final decision still awaits presidential approval. This unresolved issue has raised concern over national sovereignty, as legal experts warns that Indonesia could face a debt trap scenario similar to Sri Lanka's, which was compelled to hand over control of the Hambantota port to China for 99 years. Without a swift resolution, Indonesia risks facing similar demands involving strategic assets, potentially including key areas such as Natuna.
The accountability of high-ranking officials and BUMNs in the WUSH project is governed by the law on clean governance, which mandates the principle of accountability and public interest, requiring officials to disclose their wealth to prevent the corruption. So the Constitutional Court considers state investment in BUMNs as the state of finance, so the corruption-related losses are state losses. Meanwhile, the business judgment rule under the Limited Liability Opinion Law from Rule number 40/2007 shields regulators from liability losses result from the genuine business risk and decision made in good faith and prudence without conflicts of interest. However, if losses stem from deliberate misconduct like markup or collusion, as suggested in the Bush case, This defense fail imply potential legal liability from violating clean governance and anti-corruption law.
Kendati belum dipastikan, opsi membayar cicilan utang kereta cepat dengan APBN cukup mengejutkan. Sebab sejak awal Menteri Keuangan Purbaya Yudi Sadeo meyakini Badan Pengelola Investasi Danantara mampu menanggung cicilan utang kereta cepat sebesar 2 triliun
dari APBN. Hal ini berbeda dengan janji awal Jokowi yang menyebut bahwa dirinya tak akan menggunakan uang rakyat sepeser pun untuk membiayai proyek kerjasama dengan Cina.
Topik ketiga. Komisi Pemberantasan Korupsi atau KPK menegaskan akan berhati-hati menangani dugaan rasuah dalam proyek kereta cepat Indonesia-China atau KCIC atau WUS.
Kereta cepat ini kita namakan WUS.
The last section of the analysis looks at two very different outcomes for a WUS project. Either it gets reorganized or it falls apart. In the ideal situation, quick and strong steps are needed. This includes successfully working out a debt deal with China to reduce financial stress, along with making big improvements to operations, such as better connecting stations and aligning feeder schedules to reach a daily ridership goal. Achieving this goal shows the project can work and has a positive impact on the economy. On the other hand, the worst outcome happens if there is no restructuring and ridership remains very low. This situation creates a tough decision. Either a huge bailout from the national budget, which put a pressure on the finances, or a dangerous situation where the state might have to give up important national resources to China, similar to what happened with Sri Lanka's debt problem.